The salvage ship Stonebird floated quietly in deep space. Inside the small bridge, soft lights blinked on panels while a low hum came from the ship's engines. Captain Bryn sat in his old chair, boots up, reading the latest scan reports. The ship was worn but strong, like him. Years of flying through forgotten parts of the galaxy had made him careful, but not slow. Bryn was a tall man with gray streaks in his beard and sharp eyes that missed nothing. He was not a hero, just someone who believed in finishing what he started. "Captain, I found something," said Mina, the pilot. She was short, quick, and always curious. Her fingers danced over the controls as she pulled up a strange signal on the screen. Bryn leaned forward. The signal was weak, but steady. It came from a dead moon named Tazur. Years ago, it had been a mining colony. Then one day, all contact stopped. No one knew why. The company left it behind, and no one ever went back. Darrow, the engineer, stepped into the bridge. His jacket was stained with grease, and he carried a steaming cup of something. That smelled awful. "What's going on?" Bryn pointed to the signal. "You ever hear of Tazur?" Darrow frowned. "That place? Creepy story. People said the miners dug too deep and woke something. Others say it was just a gas leak." "Whatever it is, we're close," Bryn said. "Let's check it out." Mina didn't argue. She already had the ship moving. An hour later, Stonebird landed near the edge of the ruined colony. The sky above was dark, filled with thick gray clouds that didn't move. The buildings were broken and covered in strange marks. Old mining machines sat frozen in place, as if their drivers had vanished mid-job. The crew stepped out of the ship. Bryn led the way with his pulse scanner. Mina walked beside him with a flashlight, and Darrow followed, carrying a heavy case full of tools and gear. Keat, the ship's medic, stayed back to prepare the medbay in case of injury. He was gentle and quiet, but everyone trusted him. Bryn's scanner picked up the signal again. It was coming from underground. They followed a half-buried tunnel leading to the mine. As they walked deeper, the air grew cold. Strange symbols were scratched into the walls. Darrow paused to examine one. "Not company markings," he said. "Someone else was here." They reached a heavy door made of black metal. It was half open. Bryn pushed it the rest of the way. Behind it was a wide chamber lit by flickering blue. Crystals. At the center was a stone platform covered in carved shapes, and on the platform lay a girl. She looked young, not human. She had soft white skin, silver hair, and furred cat-like ears on her head. A long striped tail curled beside her. Her wrists and ankles were tied with dark metal bands. She was breathing, but her eyes were closed. Mina stepped closer, shocked. "What is she?" "I don't know," Bryn said, moving carefully around the altar. "But she's alive, and she's been left here." Darrow checked the surroundings. "Look at these machines. They're still running. Someone built all this. After the miners left." As they tried to free the girl, the sound of footsteps echoed from the tunnel behind them. The chamber lights flickered. Bryn turned fast, weapon ready. Dozens of figures stepped into the room. They wore long robes of bone-white fabric. Their faces were hidden by metal masks. At the front was a tall man with a scarred face and cold gray eyes. He held a staff carved with glowing runes. "Step away from the altar," the man said calmly. "She is not yours." Bryn didn't lower his weapon. "She's a living person. She's not yours either." The man didn't blink. "She was chosen before she was born. She is the key. We are the keepers." Mina raised her blaster. "What key? What are you talking about?" The man smiled. "She will open the gate. Our power will rise. The stars will kneel." Bryn took a slow step back toward the girl. "We're taking her." "She's not a tool for whatever madness you believe in. You will not leave," the cult leader said. "Your names are already forgotten. Your ship will rot with you." Suddenly, the chamber doors slammed shut. The air shook. Crystal lights turned red. Bryn shouted, "Cover!" as Darrow grabbed a small device from his belt and threw it. It exploded in a blast of bright white light. The cultists screamed and staggered back. Bryn ran to the altar and lifted the girl into his arms. She was light, and she stirred weakly in his grasp. Mina fired at the floor, breaking it open. Smoke and dust filled the room. They ran through the side tunnel, pushing past old walls and fallen beams. Bryn didn't stop, even when pain shot through. His leg. He held the girl close and kept going. Behind them, the cult chanted louder. The ground shook with each word. They burst out of the mine and into the cold, open air. Keat waited by the ship, waving them forward. As soon as everyone was aboard, Mina lifted off. The ship's engines roared. Tazur shrank behind them. Inside the med bay, Keat placed the girl on the table and began scanning her. Bryn stood beside him, watching. His chest was tight and his thoughts raced. Who was she? Why had she been chosen? What gate were they trying to open? Bryn didn't have the answers yet. But he knew one thing for certain. He was not going to let her be used. Not while he was still breathing. The ship Stonebird moved quickly through space, away from the cursed moon Tazur. Bryn stood by the medbay window, watching the stars pass by. His arms were crossed, and his jaw was tight. Inside the medbay, the strange alien girl lay quietly under a warm blanket. Keat sat beside her, checking her breathing. She had not woken up since they escaped the cult, but her heart was strong. Her body showed signs of long captivity. Bryn wondered how many years she had been kept like that. She's stable, Keat said, glancing at Bryn. No wounds, no infection, but she needs rest. Bryn nodded. Let me know the moment she wakes up. He stepped out and walked down the narrow hallway. Mina and Darrow were already in the ship's war room, staring at the screen. It showed a strange energy reading coming from Tazur. The signal was no longer hidden. It was rising fast. Darrow pointed to the map. That's not natural. They're using something big down there. They're angry, Mina said. We stole what they were waiting for. Bryn looked at the data. They called her the key, said she was born for it, born to open a gate. Mina crossed her arms. A gate to what? Some ancient prison? Another dimension? Bryn didn't answer. He had seen too many strange things, in space to ignore the danger. The cult was real, and they were ready to kill for their goal. Suddenly, the ship's alarm rang. A red light flashed over the control panels. Keat's voice came through the speaker. Captain, we have a transmission. It's coming from Tazur. Bryn turned fast. Put it on screen. The monitor flickered. The image cleared. It showed the cult leader, Solvin, standing inside the glowing chamber where they had found the girl. His eyes were full of fire. You have taken what belongs to the stars, Solvin said. She is not yours. She is sacred. Her return is not your choice. Bryn stared at the screen. She's alive, and she's not property. If you want her back, you'll have to fight for it. Solvin smiled. We have waited 100 years. We will wait no longer. The gate opens with or without her, but with her it opens wide. The screen went black. Mina turned to Bryn. They're planning something. We need to stop them before it's too late. Darrow agreed. If they can, open that gate without her, then they're desperate. Desperate people do dangerous things. Bryn nodded. We don't have much time. Keat's voice called out again. Captain, she's waking up. They rushed back to the medbay. The girl's eyes were open now. They were bright gold and filled with confusion. She sat up slowly, ears twitching as she looked around. Her tail wrapped tightly around her leg. Bryn stepped forward and knelt beside the bed. You're safe. We're not part of the cult. We got you out. She tilted her head, trying to understand his words. She spoke back in a soft voice, but the language was foreign, a mix of melody and whisper. Keat grabbed a small device and placed it near her neck. It blinked, trying to translate. Mina entered slowly and held out her hand. "My name is Mina. What's yours?" The girl looked at her hand, then back at Bryn. She pointed to herself. "Nah, Ri," she said carefully. Bryn repeated it. "Nari, is that your name?" She nodded once. Keat smiled. "That's progress." Darrow stepped in with a tray of food and water. Nari stared at it with wide eyes. She reached slowly, sniffed the water, then took small sips. Her body was still tense, like a scared animal unsure if the cage was truly gone. Bryn sat beside her. "You're free now, Nari, but the cult wants you back. We won't let that happen." The translator device clicked, and Nari tried to speak again. "Dark ones. Below. Not dead. Want to come. Break sky." Everyone went quiet. Mina leaned in. "What does that mean?" Bryn spoke slowly. "It means the cult wants to open a door to something terrible, and Nari was their key." Keat looked at Nari kindly. "Do you remember where you came from? Your home?" Nari shook her head. "Taken. Long ago. Grew in stone. No sky." Bryn understood. She had spent most of her life underground, raised, like a tool, not a person. "You're not a tool," Bryn said firmly. "You're one of us now." Nari blinked, unsure what that meant. Just then, the ship shook. A warning flashed on the main screen. Darrow ran to check the sensors. Something. "Big just came out of the gate near Tazur," he said. "It's not a normal ship. It's built from rock and bone." Bryn looked at the live feed. A massive vessel was rising from the surface of the moon. It was shaped like a claw. Strange energy ran across its skin. "The cult's ship," Bryn said. "They're coming." Mina turned from the window. "We need help." Bryn nodded. "There's a human outpost 2 jumps from here. A mining station. Maybe they'll listen." He looked at Nari. She was still holding the water cup, watching the screen with quiet fear. Bryn placed a hand on her shoulder. "You're not alone anymore. We'll protect you." Nari gave a small nod. Her ears twitched again, but her body relaxed, just a little. The ship turned and jumped to light speed. Behind them, the moon of Tazur glowed with strange light. The cult had awakened. The gate was opening, but humanity was not going to stand aside. Not this time. The ship Stonebird dropped out of light speed near a quiet mining station called Arkway Point 7. It floated above a small, rocky planet, its lights blinking slowly like a tired heartbeat. Bryn stared at it through the front window of the bridge. The station was old and dusty, but it was still in use. He hoped someone inside would care enough to help. Mina was at the controls, guiding the ship closer to the docking ring. "Sending a request to land," she said. "No weapons showing on their scanners. Looks safe." "They won't like surprises," Bryn replied. "We'll need to be honest, but careful." Darrow leaned on the wall behind them. "Honest about..." "What? That a cult from a dead moon is chasing us with a bone ship and a glowing cat girl?" Bryn didn't answer. He just looked at the medbay feed on the side screen. Nari was sitting up now. Keat had given her a clean set of clothes, loose and soft, made for comfort. Her silver hair had been brushed, and her golden eyes watched everything, closely. She was quiet, but not afraid anymore. After landing, Bryn, Mina, and Keat took Nari with them. Darrow stayed behind to guard the ship. The hallway from the docking ring to the station entrance was cold and smelled like old oil. Lights flickered on the ceiling. A tall man in a dirty brown uniform met them at the gate. His name tag read, Joro. He looked tired and unimpressed. "What do you want?" he asked. Bryn kept his voice calm. "We need help. There's something dangerous coming. It involves an old cult and this girl." Joro looked at Nari. Her ears twitched, and her tail moved slightly behind her. She lowered her head but didn't hide. "A child?" Joro asked. What kind of trouble is she in? Keat stepped forward. They call her the Key. A cult wants to use her to open something. We rescued her, and now they're chasing us. Joro shook his head. Sounds like a story from a broken radio. I don't want that kind of heat on my station. We're not asking for much, Bryn said. Just a few supplies and maybe some people who are willing to stand with us. You've got workers. Tough ones. Joro thought for a long moment. Then he stepped aside. Talk to the foreman. Maybe he'll listen, but don't stay long. Inside the station, the air was warmer. People moved through narrow halls and heavy doors. Most were miners, dressed in thick gear and carrying tools. Some paused to stare at Nari, whispering quietly. Bryn kept a steady hand on her shoulder, guiding her gently. They met Foreman Rule at the station's center. He was short, wide-shouldered, and missing one eye. He listened as Bryn told him everything. From the moment they found Nari to the warning from Solvin, the cult leader. At the end, Rule rubbed his chin. So you want us to stand between a death cult and their prize? I want you to stand between them and the rest of the galaxy, Bryn said. Because if they open that gate, it won't stop with us. Rule looked at Nari. She met his gaze without flinching. He saw something in her eyes. Not weakness, but a will to live. I've seen enough monsters in the mines, Rule said. I'll talk to the others. Back on the Stonebird, Keat helped. Nari rest. Bryn joined them after the meeting. Nari pointed at a drawing on the wall. It was a picture of Earth, hand-drawn by Mina. A blue ball with white clouds and green shapes. Home? Nari asked. Bryn nodded. That's where humans come. From a long way from here. Nari looked down at her hands. I have no home. Bryn sat beside her. Then maybe it's time you choose one, with people who care about you. She hesitated, then looked up. Am I still a Key? Bryn shook his head. You're Nari. That's all that matters now. Nari seemed unsure. She pressed her hand to her chest. Nari, not tool, not gate. Keat smiled. That's right. Later that night, Bryn and Darrow worked in the engine room. Darrow was rewiring the shield core. If we're fighting off a cult ship, Darrow said, we need better defenses. I can push more power into the outer ring. Won't last forever, but it'll take a few hits. Good, Bryn replied. We buy time. We hold the line. Darrow looked over. You really think she's just a girl now, after everything we saw? Bryn didn't speak right away. Then he answered. I think she deserves to be more than what they made her. A few hours later, Rule arrived with 5 others, all miners, all armed. They brought old plasma rifles, mining lasers, and grenades made from scrap. Not soldiers, but ready to fight. Mina trained with them in the cargo bay. She showed them how to aim, move, and cover each other. Nari watched from the railing above. Her eyes followed every step. That evening, Mina brought Nari to the target. Range. She handed her a small practice blaster. Want to try? Mina asked. Nari took it slowly. Her hands were steady. She fired. The blast hit the center of the target. Bryn watched from the shadows. She was learning fast, not because she wanted revenge, but because she wanted freedom. Suddenly, a warning light blinked on the ship's main screen. Darrow called out, There! Here. Everyone ran to the bridge. On the monitor, a large ship came into view. It looked like a floating beast made of rock and bone. Its eyes glowed red. The cult had arrived. Bryn stood tall. This is our line. We hold it. Nari stepped forward beside him. She didn't speak. But her presence was strong. The fight had begun. The red light on the Stonebird's bridge blinked without pause. Outside, the cult ship hovered in the dark sky like a ghost. Its long arms moved slowly, shaped like claws. Thick clouds covered the stars. A low humming sound filled the radio. It was not a signal, just a deep, voiceless noise. Bryn stood in front of the screen. His crew stood behind him. Mina checked the weapons. Darrow stood beside the engine controls. Keat waited near the hallway, ready to treat the wounded. Nari stepped forward. She looked at the enemy ship. Her ears were still. Her eyes did not blink. "They are ready to take me," she said. Bryn turned to her. "They won't. Not while we stand." From the mining station, Foreman Rule called in. "We're ready," he said. "The turrets are charged. My men are in place." Bryn nodded. "Good. We hit them the moment they move." Outside, a door opened on the cult ship. From it, a wave of small crafts flew out. They looked like sharp stones with engines. Each carried 2 cult soldiers. "They're coming," Mina said. "Fast and low," Bryn spoke clearly. "Mina, you and Keat guard Nari. Darrow, stay with me. Rule, open fire when they pass your line." The first blast came from the station. A turret fired. A bright beam and hit one of the enemy crafts. It exploded in the air. The others spread out and moved in fast circles. Darrow pressed a button, and the ship's outer cannon started firing. Blue light cut through the darkness. Several cult crafts dodged and returned fire. Their weapons were red and wild, burning into the ground and walls. Inside the ship, Nari sat in a small corner. Keat stayed beside her, watching every door. "Are you all right?" he asked. She nodded. "I can feel them. Their words are cold." Keat frowned. "Can you hear them from here?" "They do not speak like you. They push feelings, hate, greed. They think I will return. I will not." On the other side of the ship, Darrow's screen lit up with warning signals. "They're trying to board us," he said. Bryn grabbed his rifle. "Hold the ramp. Darrow, help me block the entrance." 2 cult members landed near the side door. They cut it open with a strange blade that melted metal. The moment it opened, Bryn fired. One went down. The other rolled and threw a sharp weapon toward Darrow. Darrow ducked, then used his modified wrench to knock the attacker off balance. Bryn finished it with a clean shot. Back at the station, Rule and his team held their ground. They fired from behind crates and walls. 2 miners fell, but the others stayed strong. They fought with skill and heart. One of the cult ships crashed into the station wall. A creature stepped out. It had the shape of a man, but its skin was rough and gray. Its eyes glowed yellow. Rule grabbed a mining laser and cut through it with a long blast. The creature fell, silent and still. Inside Stonebird, Nari stood up. Her hands were shaking. Keat stood quickly. "What's wrong?" "They are trying to take me from inside. They called to the part they left in me. The altar was not just stone. It changed me." Keat looked at her carefully. "Can you stop them?" "Do not know." Mina entered the room with a blaster in one hand. "We're still holding. You all right?" Nari took a deep breath. "I want to help." "You already have," Mina said. "No, I can do more." Outside, the cult ship began to charge energy. Its center glowed red. It aimed not at the station or the ship, but at the planet. "Below. They want to break the ground," Darrow said, checking the sensors. "Something under it." Bryn spoke into the comms. "Rule, they're trying to hit the planet. Do you have anything big enough to stop that ship?" Rule answered out of breath. "1 heavy cannon, but it's not meant for space." "Use it anyway," Bryn said. "We'll give you time." Mina ran to the weapons panel. "If we aim both front blasters at their core, we might stall them." "Do it," Bryn said. The Stonebird flew forward. Enemy crafts chased them, but Darrow turned. On the rear flame trap, fire blasted from the engines. 2 cult crafts burned in midair. Mina fired. The blasters hit the cult ship's center. Its glow dimmed for a second. Rule's cannon fired next. A thick yellow beam shot from the station and slammed into the cult ship. It shook hard. Pieces fell from its lower deck, but it was not finished. Suddenly, a voice filled the ship's speakers. It was Solvin, the cult leader. "You delay what must be. We will still take her. The stars have already turned." Nari stepped into the bridge. Her eyes were glowing faintly. She looked calm, not afraid. "I am not yours," she said. Bryn turned to her. "Nari, it's not safe here. I need to be here." She placed her hand on the console. The ship's lights flickered. The cult ship's signal dropped for a second. Bryn stared at her. "What did you do?" "I don't know, but I stopped them from speaking. For now." The cult ship began to retreat. Its crafts flew back to it. The large ship turned and moved toward Tazur again. "They're going back," Mina said. Bryn watched the screen. "They're not done. They're planning something worse." "But we made them run," Darrow said. Nari looked at the stars. "They will open the gate even without me. We have to stop them. We must break the altar." Bryn nodded. "Then we follow them. We end this." The others looked at him, tired, but ready. The fight was not over, but humanity was standing strong. The stone bird drifted quietly in space, following the fading trail of the cult's ship. Inside, the crew worked in silence. The air was tense. No one spoke unless it was needed. Each person knew what waited on Tazur. The cult had failed once, but they were not done. Nari sat in the ship's quiet room, alone. The lights were low. Her hands rested on her knees. Her eyes were closed. She was not sleeping. She was listening. Inside her mind, she could still feel the echo of the altar. It was not just stone. It was a prison. It held something dark, and it had reached for her again and again. But something had changed now. The voice that once pulled at her now feared her. She did not understand why. Mina entered the room and sat beside her. She held a small box in her hands. "I brought you something," Mina said. Nari opened her eyes. "What is it?" Mina opened the box and pulled out a bracelet made of colored beads. It was simple, but beautiful. "A miner on the station gave it to me once," Mina said. "He said it brings luck. I think you should wear it now." Nari took the bracelet and held it carefully. Her fingers moved across each bead. She slipped it onto her wrist. "Thank you," she said. Mina smiled. "You're strong. But even strong, people need something to hold on to." Bryn entered the room, looking serious. "We're getting close," he said. "Tazur is ahead." Nari stood. "Then we finish it." In the control room, Darrow pointed to the screen. The cult ship landed, again near the old temple, same place where we found her. But now there's energy building under the surface. More than before. "They're waking something," Bryn said. "Whatever it is, they think it can still rise without her." Keat leaned forward. "What if they're right?" "Then we break it before it breaks the galaxy," Bryn replied. Nari stepped forward. "I need to go with you. I can feel the altar. I know the path." Bryn looked at her. He did not want to risk her life, but he also knew they would never make it without her. "You stay close," he said. "No matter what happens." Nari nodded. The ship landed far from the temple to avoid being seen. The crew moved on foot. The ground was dry and cracked. The sky above was filled with clouds that swirled without wind. Strange lights blinked in the air like floating sparks. As they neared the temple, they saw it had changed. The walls were covered in thick roots of glowing stone. The ground trembled with each step. Something under the surface was breathing. They reached the edge of the altar chamber. Cult members stood around it chanting. Solvin was at the center holding a crystal staff. He raised it high and the altar lit up. "They're starting the ritual," Bryn whispered. "We need a plan," Mina said. Before they could move, the ground shook hard. A large crack split the floor. From it came a long arm of black smoke. It reached toward the sky like a serpent. The cult began to scream words that no human could understand. "They're feeding it," Keat said. Nari stepped forward. The altar glowed brighter as she came near. "They still use part of me," she said. They never needed my body. Just the seed they left in me. Bryn looked at her. Can you stop it? I can try. Suddenly the cult noticed them. Solvin turned and pointed his staff. She returns, he shouted. The key walks again. Bring her forward. Cult guards ran toward them, but Bryn and Mina opened fire. Darrow used a blast charge to knock a group back. Keat stayed behind cover, protecting Nari. Get her to the altar, Bryn shouted. We hold them here. Nari ran with Keat, weaving through the broken stones. More cultists rose from the shadows, but the miners had followed from the ship. Rule and his team charged into battle, shouting with fury. Plasma beams and mining lasers lit the night. At the altar, Nari placed her hands on the stone. The energy pulsed. Her eyes began to glow. She was no longer afraid. Solvin raised his staff to strike, but a blast from Mina's weapon knocked him back. Bryn tackled him to the ground. They fought, fists and fire across the temple floor. Nari closed her eyes and focused. Inside her, the power that once slept now opened. She saw flashes of stars, light, and pain. She saw her people, the Volari, long gone. Once they could shape light, bend energy, and heal the wounded. But they had sealed their power when war took too much. The cult had taken a fragment of that, power, and built a weapon from it. They had twisted her birth, made her something she was not meant to be. But now she chose what to become. A wave of light burst from the altar. The black smoke screamed and began to pull back into the crack. Solvin shouted, but the ritual failed. The altar cracked. The power they had stolen slipped from their hands. Bryn punched Solvin to the ground. The cult leader crawled, reaching for his staff, but it broke under Bryn's boot. It's over, Bryn said. Nari stood tall, her body glowing with soft golden light. The bracelet on her wrist shone brightly. It is finished, she said. The smoke vanished. The sky cleared. The altar turned dark. Silence fell over the battlefield. The cult scattered, lost without their leader. Rule and his team cheered. Mina lowered her weapon. Darrow gave a tired laugh. Bryn walked to Nari. She looked at him with calm eyes. You stopped it, he said. No, Nari answered. We stopped it. Together. Bryn smiled. Then it's time to go home. The ruins of the temple on Tazur lay quiet under a dark sky. The altar, once bright with power, was now cracked and cold. Bryn and his crew stood near the edge of the clearing, watching the empty stones. But the peace was short-lived. A low rumble shook the ground beneath their feet. Dust rose from the earth like smoke. From the shadows, figures appeared. The cult was not finished. Solvin's voice rang out again, louder and more angry than before. You think this ends here? The power is ours to claim, with or without her. Bryn tightened his grip on his rifle. We stopped you once. We'll stop you again. Mina scanned the horizon. They brought more, darker creatures. Not all human. Darrow frowned. This is no normal fight. They want the altar rebuilt. They want to finish what they started. Nari stepped forward. Her golden eyes shone brighter than ever. Then we must stop them before the altar rises. Again. The cultists advanced, chanting strange words that made the air heavy. Their bodies glowed with dark energy. They carried strange tools and machines that pulsed with unholy light. The miners from the station lined up beside Bryn. Rule held his mining laser steady. We've got your backs, Captain. The battle began. Energy beams cut through the air. Bryn fired at a group of cultists trying to place devices around the altar. Mina moved fast, shooting from cover. Darrow used a heavy plasma rifle, blasting through the enemy lines. Nari was in the middle of the fight. Her hands glowed with soft light. She reached out and touched a cultist who was charging at her. The dark energy around him shattered. He fell to the ground, stunned. More cultists poured forward. They were stronger, faster. The altar's power was drawing them like moths to fire. Bryn spotted Solvin near the back, holding a new crystal staff. It was larger and darker than before. He was chanting louder, trying to rebuild the altar's power. "We have to stop him," Bryn said. Mina nodded. "I'll cover you." Bryn and Nari moved through the battlefield. Cultists tried to block their way, but the miners fought hard. Explosions rocked the ground. Nari felt the power inside her growing. It was wild, but she learned to control it. She could bend light around her fingers. She could heal small wounds on her hands with a touch. Near the altar, Solvin raised his staff. A wave of dark energy shot toward Nari. She raised her hand and met it with a shield of golden light. The two forces clashed and shattered into sparks. Bryn rushed forward and tackled Solvin to the ground. They fought fiercely. Solvin was strong but reckless. Bryn used the chance to grab the crystal staff. Nari joined them. She touched the staff, and it cracked in her hands. "No more," she said. The altar trembled. Light burst from Nari's body. The dark energy screamed and dissolved. Solvin struggled but fell back, defeated. The cultists fled, broken and powerless. The altar's stones lay silent once more. Bryn looked at Nari. "You did it. You saved us all." Nari smiled softly. "We did it. Together." The storm above cleared. Stars shone bright. Bryn turned to the miners. "You fought like true heroes." Rule grinned. "We're miners, but today we were warriors." Back on the Stonebird, the crew repaired the damage. Nari sat by the window watching the stars. Bryn came to her side. "What will you do now?" She looked at him, calm and certain. "I will find my own path. Not a key, not a weapon." Bryn smiled. "Then you're one of us." Nari nodded. "Yes, one of us." The galaxy was wide and full of dangers, but with friends like these, no darkness was too deep. The fight was over, but the journey was just beginning. The stars glowed softly outside the Stonebird. The ship moved steadily through space, away from the danger of Tazur. Inside, the crew felt tired but alive. They had won a battle, but the war of the galaxy was never truly over. Nari stood on the bridge, her golden eyes watching the passing lights. Her silver hair caught the soft glow of the control panels. She was no longer the scared girl bound to an altar. She was free. Bryn stood beside her. "You saved more than just yourself, Nari. You saved many lives. The galaxy owes you." Nari shook her head. "I was not alone. You all helped me find my strength." Mina smiled. "And we're not done yet. There are other places, other dangers." Darrow chuckled. "Space never gets boring." Keat joined them with a warm drink. "You all deserve this moment." Nari took the cup and looked around. She thought about her past, how she was taken from her home, kept as a tool, and almost lost. But now she had a family, a crew, people who believed in her. She felt the bracelet on her wrist, the simple beads that reminded her of kindness and hope. Bryn spoke again. "What will you do now? Where will you go?" Nari looked out the window. "I want to find my people, the Valari, to learn about who I am and who I can be." Mina nodded. "And we'll help you." Bryn smiled. "Together." Suddenly, the ship's communication console beeped. "A message from the mining station at Arcway Point 7. Captain, this is Foreman Rule," the voice said. "We've heard your story. We want to stand with you. Whatever comes next, we fight together." Bryn looked at Nari. "See? You have friends everywhere." Nari smiled softly. "Then we are ready." The crew gathered for a small celebration. They shared food, stories, and laughter. The warmth of friendship filled the ship. The shadows of fear and pain grew smaller. That night, Nari stood alone by the window. The stars stretched out before her like a sea of light. She whispered a silent promise, to protect those who cannot protect themselves, to face the darkness with courage, and to never forget the kindness she had found. Her ears twitched as a soft breeze brushed her hair. She felt alive. The galaxy was vast, its mysteries deep. But Nari knew one truth. No matter how far she traveled or how dark the night, there was always hope. Because she was not just a key or a weapon. She was Nari, anew. Dawn had come, and the stars were waiting.